And I am sure that you know quite well that for many years we ran this seamlessly, where within 48 hours, if not 24 hours, you get justice from any police encounter that you have. But with the sweetness of certain things does not actually continue that way because we are not police officers. We are more or less a stopgap. And now that we have given that capacity to the police to build up their internal accountability mechanism, which I believe they are working on, and it may not be as smooth as we are. We are private citizens. We may have funding to do all these things, and we may not be biased. But when it goes back into the system, and you remember in the police system, no single police officer remains in the same position for so long. And once there are administrative changes, there will be lapses in certain things. And I will give you a few instances. Throughout history, people committing atrocities have convinced themselves that they are necessary evil. And you will see this pattern in the growing trend of unconscionable behaviors born out of groupthink. I'm talking about both in the citizenry and also within the police system, because the police are citizens of this nation as well. They will justify these things, and there are people who will justify these things. People who ought to know better. You remember when the law was made, there was a special unit that was crafted within the police and empowered by the Police Act 2020 to look into police brutality cases. That's the Police Complaint Response Unit. And we deliberately put it under the PRO's office as at the time, because we believe that the PRO can oversee the activities of these units and then find it easy to make the public know to carry the public along on what is going on. But as it were, if certain things are not monitored appropriately, if the IG is still not in the know, in fact, there are certain things that have caused the failure of the series of IGs from 2015, and it is still going to affect the new IG now. Because there are people within the system who will interpret the law to suit themselves and continue to draw back or try to roll back the hands of the clock. Because in my considered view, evil is not necessary. Rationalization of demented and unconscionable behavior and rewarding same can only perpetuate vicious cycles of violence. And we don't want a situation whereby our youth will go back to the street shouting police all over again. The quality is enough, is heated enough. Noble ends don't justify via means. There's no way you complain about certain things on social media and you have police officers seeking to justify. In fact, nobody online needs to prosecute such matters online. There are specific units for it. It is not the job of the police PRO to engage such matters. Your role is supervisory. You are not supposed to be engaging social media people at the expense of taxpayers' money. It's not done. And that's why you see all the misdeeds being done. There are people who have been trained for that, who knows the rules of engagement, who knows this standard operating procedure for engaging the public. And they know the mandate. Number one mandate is to win the trust of the people towards the police. Because the people are the police and the police are the public. Whether you like it or not, if they don't trust you, they can't share information with you. But also, while we are understanding that policing remains a human endeavor and therefore subject to shortcomings of inherently flawed human beings, the monitoring and evaluation of the entire process is necessary. And like Indy mentioned the other time, that, their cases are not as swift as it used to be. I know what it costs to follow a case through in this country. An ordinary case of a man who stole a chicken can last 20 years in this country. Not talk of a police officer who is within a system that tends to protect his own. You can imagine how difficult that can get. So when you have an organization who is also suffering from the ills of society, and you have people who have built a cult of personality around anyone or group and using it to obliterate the truth about themselves, this kind of attitude can never work in the current attention-driven economy that we're in now. Because there is social media. People now have a voice. Unlike those days when people are afraid to speak about police brutality, people will speak about it and have evidence to show for it. And there will be people who will continuously and continually stand up for the rights of the public on that. Yeah. And the issue that is very critical here is, number one, there are two issues we raised. Because Indy mentioned the case where people are still following up the case till today. The recommendation we sent to the federal government as at then from the Judicial Panel and also from the Security Summit. There was one that was, it borders around Sheriff and Civil Process Act of 1955, which speaks to the consent of the Attorney General of the Police on garnishee order, that is Section 84, which makes the government a judge in his own case. And secondly, the amendment of the relevant section of the Police Act of 2020 for operational efficiency to avoid the reinforcement of the current gaming of its provisions to build back a culture of impunity. So the gaming of the system is what is the lapses that you are saying now, where people are still arguing with victims of police brutality on social media. It should never happen. And secondly, the fact that the case is in court, judgment have been given on the case, an amount of money have been earmarked, and that money will never be approved. And those are the two issues that we want the federal government to revisit.